I am currently on the campus of St. Xavier University. I just got done broadcasting a basketball game, and I literally I looked at the SID here. I told him, I said, I'm using the one room over there. I got to go do a podcast, so we could get on and talk Dansby Swanson right away. While it's fresh, right? There's going to be a lot of people that wait until Monday, unfortunately, to talk about it. It's still going to be just as exciting, but we wanted to get some raw reactions out here right now. As Juice said, Dansby Swanson is a Chicago Cub, at least reportedly. Nothing is official just yet, but 7 years, $177 million is the reported contract. It is a full no trade clause as well, which good for him. He just got married. His wife, Mallory, is here in Chicago. She plays for the Chicago Red Stars of the NWSL. So it's a match made in heaven. They'll get to be together during their seasons in the same city. And he's fresh off coming back from his honeymoon. That's why he didn't sign, people. He didn't sign because he was on vacation with his now wife, celebrating the fact they just got married. So he's now a Chicago Cub, and we get to talk about it. And yes, Jeremiah, first off, thanks for joining, buddy. Yes, my hair's done really nicely. I actually look like presentable and cleaned up. I don't have my W hat on, and my beard's not in 18 different directions like it normally is when we're on Cubs on Tap. But Juice, I mean, just initial reaction, man. Like, what were your thoughts going through your head when you looked at your phone and saw the news?
Well, first I looked down and I was like, good, they got one of them. And then you start thinking about the behind the scenes, like how much, like you talked about, in the matter of, what was the timeline for this deal? Obviously, with the honeymoon and things like that, was that a factor in it? Was Dansby Swanson the guy all along? You start thinking things like that, and then you start to wait for the money to come in. And then when the money came in, I went, "That's awesome!" Like that really allows them to do a lot more with their baseball team in the future because they're going to have to. They're very much going to be in need of high leverage bullpen arms, starting pitchers. You look around the infield and there's some stability with the middle of it now, but there's a lot of instability when it comes to the corner spots. So they may have to go out and definitely spend some more money in terms of maybe a Devers next year, or a Shohei Ohtani to add to this lineup and this rotation would be, and they're allowed to. They now have the ability to do that, and I think that's something that this deal kind of does. And we talked in depth about the changes in baseball rules and the emphasis it's going to put on defense. And I really truly think that out of all of it, this move allows them to make more moves in the future and add more 5-win players. I mean, I'm looking at Dansby Swanson stuff right now. Last year, 5.7 WAR. That's what you need to do as a general manager that's looking to contend. You need to add players that are between 3, 4, and 5 WAR. And then those guys help you win ball games. That's exactly what this move is about. It's great to see that it came in at that dollar amount, and I'm excited. I think every Cub fan should be excited. They've done some really great things, I think, in this offseason, and this kind of adds to it, puts the cherry on top. We kind of talked about Bellinger, initially being that nice bounce back candidate, and maybe in the end, Jed looked at the market and said, I'm better off having 2 of these guys than just one of them. And I truly think that maybe that was excuse me, just had some pizza up there and I'm drinking some 312 Buzz has got the Bull City cans in house. I really truly think that it ended up being a slam dunk getting 2 players that can help them win next year, especially since they have so many holes in this roster. Like if you look at like what the money was paid for the other guys, it had to be a lot of like, it was the last player that they're adding. Like if you're looking at the Padres, that's the move that like makes them over the top. It's like that were where these teams, same with like the Giants. The Giants always seem to find these guys out of left field that help them win. So at the end of the day, I think Jed kind of looked at all the holes on the roster and said, we need more than just one guy this run. And let's throw some money at Bellinger. Let's throw some money at Dansby, and let's get better overall as a baseball team. And that's what they did today. They really put the cherry on top.
Yeah, and I think too, what on top of it does, Juice, and I'm gonna turn to a couple of comments here as well, because like I was calling a game. I didn't even know what happened until 30 minutes after it when I looked at my phone, and I had like 19 people had messaged me in various forms saying, oh, we got him, there you go. And I'm like, what? And I went and looked, and obviously the excitement. But as Jeremiah says, 177 million does feel like a steal, right? Because we saw the dollar amounts dished out to guys like Trey Turner and Sander Bogarts, and most recently Carlos Correa. And then on top of it, like, hearing this is kind of crazy from Jeremiah in the comments as well. It's saying Braves only offered him 6 years for 100 mil. Like, I mean, he got what? Do quick math here. That's almost $10 million more per season from the Cubs for an extra year as well. Like, it's a good move, like you said, Juice, because there is still that financial flexibility. You look at this team, he's now the longest locked up player in terms of just pure years on the roster. But even guys that are making, right, like everybody, I think, can admit, right, you look at how many guys are in that 8 figures per year, right? How many guys are making 10 million plus on your ball club? Right now for the Cubs, it's not that many. Kyle Hendricks is one of them. I believe he's 13 million this year, if I remember correctly. You have Jay Hayes technically on the payroll for one more season, which whatever, that is what it is. But then outside of that, it's Stroh, Seiya, now Tyon and Bellinger, and Dansby, and that's it. Like, they have a lot of value locked up in a lot of guys. And I believe Ian makes made 10.6 this year. So even then, like, that's still really good value for a team that, like you said, Juice, still has the ability, looking ahead, obviously, to make moves in the future and still be financially flexible in that aspect, while still being able to get better as a ball club this offseason. And Dansby Swanson 100% makes them better. And Juice, the one thing I did want to pick your brain about and just discuss is immediately, it's a big deal when Jeff Passan puts it in his tweet. But he even said the Cubs have now one of the best middle infields in baseball, because this is going to move Nico over to second base, who's obviously a Gold Glove caliber infielder. And you have the guy who's the reigning Gold Glove winner at shortstop for the NL in 2022 in Dansby Swanson, now on the Chicago Cubs. I think if nothing else, that's the beauty of a move like this. Not only have you increased the power that's in your lineup, Dansby, by StatCast, had he played at Wrigley, I saw this the other day on Twitter. I don't know who put it out. I'm sorry. If I did, I would give proper credit. He would have hit 33 home runs this past season had he played at Wrigley. Wow. So they adjust it based on, where the balls land and things like that. So you added a potential 30 home run guy to your lineup, which probably in turn makes him a candidate for 100 ribbies. And then you also added a Gold Glove defender to a team that sorely needed defense. Outside of Nico Horner last season and Ian Happ and and pretty much Seiya Suzuki, this team defensively struggled. And that was a big reason why they lost a lot of games, and probably why they found themselves, especially early on in the season, so far out of that playoff picture, because we saw what happened. They turned it around in the second half. They pitched their way to a winning record in the second half, and they got just enough from the offense to be dangerous. Now, like you said, you've added a guy like Bellinger. You've added a guy who's a bounce back candidate. You add a guy like Swanson, and because of the dollar value, they can still go out and get a guy like Turner to come in and play third base for one season. You can still go out and get a Trey Mancini to play a platoon with Matt Mervis over at first base. Like, you can still go out and get some of these, like, they're not the sexy free agents necessarily anymore, but they're the guys, like you said, they're the guys that really help you win ball games, that you can come in and fill in. And a lot of them are probably going to come on shorter term deals too.